I'm going to just give it another minute for more participants to join, and then we can start. And then, boom, please remember to record, please.
I've started recording, Vilmarie.
Thank you. Okay, let us start. Welcome everyone to our first Wednesday Wellness for the NMU corporate group. My name is Vilmarie Joubert. I'm a Tempo Wellness Coordinator for Bestmed. We are proud to be hosting these Wellness Wednesday sessions, all leading up to the NMU Wellness Days next week and then in October for the George campus. We would like to encourage all our participants to please ask us questions using the chat box, and I will relay them to our speaker just to answer. And if you have any more questions, please email us at tempo@bestmed.co.za. So let me introduce our speaker. Pietri Fourie is our speaker. She is a registered dietitian since 2015. She has a private practice and is first situated here in Pretoria East and then opened a second location in Bethlehem in the Free State in 2018, where she is currently located. She is passionate about corporate wellness and takes a special interest in body composition management, pregnancy, lactation, and interest nutrition. Thank you, Pietri. We are so looking forward to hearing what you have to say to us today.
Thank you, Vilmarie. It's an honor once again to present to you, and I'm very excited about the topic. I think it's a very well thought out topic and very present topic to discuss today. Vilmarie, do you have the screen for us, the presentation?
Yes, I'm going to share it for you now. Sorry.
Thank you.
Share my screen. There we go. And I'm gonna
Thank you.
Slideshow.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you. So today's topic, we are what we eat. Change your diet, change your life. The why, the what, and the how. So here is just a quick quote. The French gastronome Jean-Alphonse Brillat-Savarin in 1825 published this now celebrated quote in his masterpiece book, Physiology of Taste. Tell me what you eat and I will tell you what you are. So this is quite a cliche. Tell me what you eat and I will tell you what you are. So it has even been condensed into a cliche. As we said, you've heard countless times, you are what you eat. Cliches are cliches, obviously, and I shall tell, and for a reason, of course. But in this case, of this one, science has only found more evidence linking nutrition to all aspects of life. So in today's fast-paced world, it's easy to overlook the impact our diet has on our overall well-being. So however, the saying, we are what we eat, holds more truth than what we may realize. So by making conscious choices about what we consume, we have the power to positively transform our lives. So I'm basically here today to enlighten you on the subject of how big of an impact nutrition has on your life. So we obviously, if we look at a presentation of an hour, it is scientifically proven that people can only remember about 25% of what we talk about. So Vilmarie said we only have half an hour today, so I'm going to speed it up, but I'm really going to try and keep it very condensed and give you simple, actionable steps that you can implement in your life. So to the outcomes today, our presentation will explore the reasons why changing our diet is crucial, what aspects to consider when altering our food choices, and provide us with practical tips of how to implement these changes effectively. So this is just quickly, Vilmarie did introduce me. So if you need, we will make the slides available afterwards. So if you need to just check up on me again, that is just a little bit of background on me. So if we dive into the why because we said we're going to look at the why, the what, and the how. So if we dive into the why, the benefits of healthy eating, there's three main areas that I want to try and highlight. So first, we want to talk about our physical health, our mental well-being, and also our longevity and quality of life. So obviously we had to condense this because it's quite a weighted topic with a lot of information. So if you look at the infogram that I got from the CDC, it says benefits of healthy eating for adults. So firstly, we can see it may help you live longer. So obviously longevity, keeps skin, teeth, and eyes healthy. It supports muscle, boosts immunity, strengthens bones, lowers the risk of our chronic diseases, lifestyle diseases such as heart disease, type 2 diabetes, and some cancers. It can also support healthy pregnancies and breastfeeding, something that's very underrated, and also helps the digestive function. So something that's a lot in the media is our digestive health and how that has an impact on our immunity especially, and also it can help us to achieve and to maintain a healthy weight. So if we look at the benefits of healthy eating and go into the categories that we've placed them in, the benefits of healthy eating. If we look at the benefits of healthy eating, with physical health, we look at consuming a balanced and nutritious diet is essential for optimal physical health. A well-rounded diet provides necessary vitamins and minerals and nutrients our bodies requires to function effectively. It can reduce the risk of chronic diseases, as we just said. That's obviously diabetes, heart disease, obesity, and improve our overall vitality. If we look at mental well-being, food we eat also influences our mental well-being. Studies have shown a strong correlation between a healthy diet and improved cognitive function, memory, and mood stability. By fueling our bodies with nutrient-rich foods, we can enhance our mental well-being, reduce stress, and even combat certain mental health conditions. So we've been speaking to a psychologist in a previous talk, and what she highlighted was that stress, obviously coming from the pandemic, and mental well-being is really an issue in the workplace these days, and people are really fighting and suffering from depression and anxiety, and not being able to function properly. So as I said, nutrition is a very underrated subject, because obviously we all first want to look at the medical side, how we can treat these diseases, as you can these situations, these conditions with medication, which obviously it has its place, but we often miss that nutrition plays a crucial role, a vital role in helping us to prevent and to treat these conditions. So if we look at longevity and quality of life, a balanced diet can increase our life expectancy and enhance the quality of our years by providing the building blocks for a resilient immune system, strong bones, and a healthy cardiovascular system. Obviously, coming out of the pandemic as well, immunity and immune system was really something that was a hot topic. Everyone wanted to know, what can we eat, what can we drink, what can we supplement with to boost our immune system? Nutritious food, that is the answer. So we'll give you some tips on that as well. And then by prioritizing whole foods and avoiding excessive processed and refined products, we can promote longevity and enjoy an effective and fulfilling life. Okay. So moving on to the next slide, this is something that I deliberately wanted to highlight today, because this is once again a topic that's much talked about, and that's carbohydrate intake. And because we spoke about mental health, now we mentioned mental health, I looked at 5 different aspects which carbohydrate, this is just an example. Obviously, I'm not talking about all the nutrients at the moment. We're just focusing on carbohydrate intake because it's such a hot topic, and the first thing people want to try and exclude from their diets. Diets, obviously, that's the way of living. A diet is what we implement every single day. They want to try and avoid carbohydrate intake. So now I just want to highlight carbohydrate intake and show you how important just one specific macronutrient amongst the 3 macronutrient group, how this is important. So firstly, if we look at carbohydrate consumption, we see that carbohydrates play a crucial role in brain function, mood, sleep, satiety, and energy levels. So here's a breakdown of the impact on all of these areas. So obviously the brain primarily relies on glucose as its main source of energy. Glucose is transported into the brain, where it is used to support various cognitive functions such as memory, focus, and also learning, as we said in the previous slide as well. So consuming adequate carbohydrates ensure the brain has sufficient fuel for optimal performance. And then mood, this is a good one as well, because as I said, depression and mood disorders, it's something that's really prevalent at the moment. And on the increase. So if we look at the mood, carbohydrates can influence mood due to their effect on serotonin. So as I said, 25%, you'll remember throughout this half an hour cut in half. So this is something that you need to remember. Serotonin, that is quite an important hormone. So what is serotonin? It's a neurotransmitter involved in regulating mood and promoting a sense of well-being. Carbohydrate-rich food trigger the release of insulin. Insulin basically serves as a precursor for serotonin production. So adequate serotonin production levels. So what basically happens, insulin triggers the release of a precursor, which is basically called tryptophan, and tryptophan then basically builds up in the brain, and higher tryptophan levels leads to a faster conversion into serotonin. And serotonin is this one neurotransmitter that is involved in our overall uplifting our mood and also our overall well-being. So adequate serotonin levels are essential for maintaining a stable mood. So that's the connection. Is we need serotonin, we need insulin. Insulin is released into the bloodstream. It's triggered via the intake of carbohydrate-rich foods. As soon as insulin levels increase, it helps the absorption of amino acids into the blood, except tryptophan. Tryptophan then basically a precursor of serotonin, and serotonin is what needed to is the neurotransmitter needed to uplift our mood. Then, if we look at sleep, this is something that people also struggle with. Is carbohydrates can indirectly impact sleep quality by facilitating the production of serotonin. So we said serotonin is produced if we take in carbohydrates, and then serotonin is converted into melatonin, the hormone responsible for regulating sleep-wake cycles. So consuming carbohydrates in the evening can increase our serotonin levels, aiding in the regulation of sleep and promoting a more restful night. So remember, most people want to try and cut out carbohydrates at night, so they want to try and exclude carbohydrates from a main meal or supper at night, or they only eat carbohydrates for breakfast and not the rest of the day. So now we say that it's needed for good sleep quality. If we're taking a good source of carbohydrate, we'll talk about the sources of carbohydrate. If we're taking a good source of carbohydrate, that can aid in helping us having a more restful night. So if you're struggling at the moment, if you're cutting out carbohydrates out of your plan currently, excluding them from your diet, and you're not sleeping well, this is perhaps a place where you can start, including some good quality carbohydrates with supper, and see how your sleep improves. Then if we look at satiety, obviously, carbohydrates contain a factor that's called fiber. The more fiber-rich foods we eat, the longer the digestible carbohydrates starts to break down to produce glucose that's released into the bloodstream. So the more fiber-rich foods we take in, the longer we're going to stay full, the more stabilized our blood glucose levels is going to be. But fiber does aid in helping us with satiety. Then if we look at energy levels, as I just said, if we eat fiber-rich foods, the more fiber a carbohydrate contains, the longer it's going to take to break down in our bodies to release glucose into our bloodstream, which means we're going to have a stable release of glucose into the bloodstream. We said glucose, that's our main source of fuel for our brain and our nervous system to function. So, and then, obviously, as I said, energy levels. Carbohydrates basically play a vital role, as I just said, in brain function, mood regulation, sleep quality, satiety, and energy levels. However, it's important to choose carbohydrates wisely. That's where people usually miss out. They think all carbohydrates are bad for you, but focusing on whole, unprocessed sources to ensure optimal nutrition and overall well-being is the secret to success. So this is, as I said, this is just an example pointing out a single macronutrient group which can be beneficial to your health. And as we just said, that overall nutrition, looking at obesity, looking at heart disease, obviously looking at diabetes, if we stabilize our blood glucose levels through the right kind of carbohydrate consumption, we can obviously prevent diabetes and also treat diabetes. That's just an example. Once again, if satiety levels are higher, it will lead to less overeating, which will lead in turn will lead to us managing our weight better. If we manage our sleep quality better, we're going to manage our appetite better, which means we are going to hunger for more nutritious foods. So this is just basically an example of just one simple nutrient, which is called carbohydrate, our macronutrient group, how that can affect a lot of aspects of our daily functioning. Moving on to our next slide. Okay, so we now discussed the why. So obviously from our previous slides, you can now collectively see that to take in a healthy diet is important. We said why it's important. So we need to move on and decide, yes, it is important. Now, what aspects of nutrition should we take into consideration? I just highlighted a few areas for us, not to confuse us too much, because there's a whole sea of information out on the internet, and obviously articles, and which is scientific publications. So we just tried to condense it just to focus on 3 different aspects. So if we look at the 3 aspects, what are we going to try, and just to condense it, what are we going to try and focus on to help us consume a healthier diet, to get to the why should we, to obviously get to the benefits of why we should take in a healthy diet. So if we look at the nutritional balance, conscious food choices, and portion control, these are 3 aspects that we can basically immediately start working on. So if we look at the nutritional balance, aim for a diverse and balanced diet that includes a variety of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, lean proteins, and healthy fats. So this ensures that you receive a broad spectrum of essential nutrients. We're also going to, in the next slide, we'll also look at the slide that we are on now. We're going to look at the plate model and how we can basically ensure that we take in a variety or variation of nutrients. Conscious food choices, we can avoid highly processed foods, saturated foods, excessive sugar, and artificial additives. Instead, opt for whole, natural, and locally sourced ingredients whenever possible. Pay attention to food labels and make informed decisions about what nourishes your body best. And then if we talk about portion control, balance is key. It's important to regulate portion sizes to avoid overeating. Mindful eating practices such as staying present during meals and listening to your body's hunger and fullness cues can be effective. And it can also establish a healthier relationship with food and prevent mindless overconsumption. So moving on to the next slide. So these 3 aspects, nutritional balance, conscious food choices, and portion control, I've basically tried to give you some tools to help you implement or basically work on these 3 different aspects. So if we look at nutritional balance, how are we going to achieve a nutritional balance when we look at food? How are we going to make this practical? How will you make it work for yourself? So if we look at the plate model, this is something dietitians often at time use, mostly use to try and explain to patients how will we get in a balanced meal. So if we fill half of our plate with a variety of vegetables and fruits, they are great source of vitamins and minerals and antioxidants. So basically we're going to divide the plate in different sections. So half of the plate we need to fill with a variety of vegetables and fruits. A quarter of the plate you can fill with whole grains such as oats, quinoa, barley, brown rice, and whole grain breads and pastas. And then the remainder, the second quarter, we can fill our plate with protein-rich foods such as beans, peas and lentils, fish and seafood, tofu, nuts, seeds, and their butters, eggs, lean meat, poultry, milk, fortified soy beverages, and yogurt. So those are all good sources of proteins. And then you'll see in the middle, we have choose foods that basically represents our healthy fats that would be selected from plant-based sources, basically excluding your palm and your coconut oil. So that would be avocado, avocados, nuts, seeds, olive oil, avocado beet oil, and the rest. So as you can see, that if we always focus on our plate model, we will always be able to dish up a very balanced meal, which will basically ensure a good amount of fiber, good amount of vitamins, minerals, enough proteins to help us stabilize our blood glucose levels, and obviously fats, healthy fats. Fats are bad for you when focusing on the right quality of fat. Moving on to the next slide, we see that if we look at conscious food choices, so with conscious food choices, this is just going in a little bit into depth about what science says. This was extracted from a publication from the World Health Organization in 2018. They said we need to take in less than 5 grams of salt per day. So that's basically 1 teaspoon of salt. Ideally, less than 5% of our total energy intake needs to come from free sugars. Less than 30% of our energy intake must be from our total fat intake, and then less than 10% of our total energy intake needs to be from saturated fatty acids. So saturated fatty acids, we'll explain that in a moment, and then less than 1% of our total energy needs to be from trans fatty acids. So saturated fatty acids, trans fats, those are usually the 2 types of fats that we want to try and take in very sparingly in our diets, but I'll give examples of that in a moment. And then what we should increase in our diets, we can need to incorporate 400 grams of fruits and vegetables. That's basically our non-starchy vegetables, and that should be about 5 portions per day. So starchy vegetables, that's your peas, sweet potato, butternut, pumpkin, and potatoes. Those are your starchy vegetables. So the rest are all your non-starchy vegetables. If we obviously look at 400 grams of fruit, 5 portions, I'm thinking now about if my children if they are watching Peppa Pig, there's one Mr. Potato, and Mr. Potato always says that eat your fruits and vegetables every day, 5 vegetables, and then this clever clog. I don't know if all of you follow Peppa Pig and if you've got children, but the clever clog, I don't know which one it is now. He says, no, new research says you need to take in 7 portions a day. So please don't, please, if you can't even get in 1 portion per day, don't try and increase it to 5 portions per day. We're going to talk about how we're going to take our actionable steps to implement it, but please don't stress if you don't get in 5 portions per day. Let's just focus on 1 portion, how you will gradually increase it. But 5 portions, that is the ideal. That's about 400 grams of fruits and vegetables. But once again, choose wisely. We are hopefully going to get to that as well. If we look at our saturated fatty acids, saturated fats, our saturated fats, that's basically our unsaturated. Let's start with unsaturated fats. That's basically found in fish, avocado, nuts, and sunflower, soybean, canola, and olive oils. They are preferable to saturated fats, and those are found in fatty meat, butter, palm and coconut oil, cream, cheese, ghee, and lard. And trans fats of all kinds, including both industrially produced trans fats that are found in baked and fried foods and prepackaged snacks and foods, such as frozen pizza, pies, cookies, biscuits, wafers, and cooking oils and spreads. Those are usually the ones that we want to try and avoid. So trans fats, saturated fatty acids, those are the ones that we want to try and minimize in our diet. So moving on to our next slide. So that's the conscious food choices, the second part that we want to try and work on. And then the third part, as we said, we need to work on, that would be our portion control. So with portion control, we would like to try, with portion control, I've given you two actionable steps to try and incorporate that, but something that's also very new to a lot of dietitians, or feel that a lot of dietitians are rather focusing on than being, they call themselves a non-diet dietitian. So they use intuitive eating principles. So this is really the place where we all want to be. This is the place where we want to see our children. And that is, how do we eat intuitively? So if we look at 10 intuitive eating principles, we would look at rejecting the diet mentality. Stop dieting. Remember dieting, that we're talking about yo-yo diets. Focusing on only to drink a shake at night because you can't eat because you're going to gain weight. And your children obviously seeing it. Being a mom myself, I'm very cautious of how I talk about food, about how I look at food, about what I put on my plate, about, as I said, what I say about food in front of my two young children, because I know this has an impact of them. So reject the diet mentality, stop dieting, recognize your hunger, make peace with food, challenge the food police. The food police that says, no, Petra, you can't eat carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are bad for you. So people think carbohydrates are only bread and pasta and rice. So challenge the food police telling you, no, you're not allowed to eat a certain type of food. So feel your fullness. Feel when you are full. Experience the feeling of feeling full. Discover the satisfaction factor. So where do you really feel satisfied when you eat? Cope with your feelings without using food. So that basically talks about emotional eating. Respect your body, because this is something that we've lost now, that we've really lost in today's time and ages. People don't really respect their bodies, because their bodies are blamed for not functioning optimally or not being able to fit into a certain gene. I read the other day that a 12-year-old said that the genes, your role is not to fit into the gene's role is to fit on your legs, not you fit into the gene. So this is just basically respect your body, exercise and feel the difference, and honor your health. So this is intuitive eating principles, which we can start to implement, which is also will help us obviously focus on portion control. And then moving on to the next slide. This is not a very clear slide, but I think it's going to give you, I could redesign it, but I wanted to see the percentage, which it basically takes it back to the plate model. So you'll see, if we talk about grains, if we now want to try and estimate on the plate model, how much would grains, fruit and vegetables, proteins and oils represent if we use our hands, and not the plate model, but our hands. We will look at the percentage of the plate. If we take palm size, a modest handful, that would be grains. That would basically be a quarter of your plate. If we take a fistful, that would basically represent a half of your plate. So basically size of your fist times 2. So 2 fists full, that would be half of your plate. If you look at protein portion, that would about be the palm of the size of your palm. So you'll see the first one, the grains, it's like it forms like half a cup. That would be a modest handful. If we look at the protein, it's basically your palm size, would be the protein that you need to take in. And if we look at oil, that would be about your fingertip. That would be that little dot in the middle. If we look at the plate, how much your fat needs to represent. So remember, if you work with a dietitian, we will calculate an individualized plan for you. But just in general speaking, if we need to start teaching our children about portion sizes, and if we need to look at trying to incorporate some form of portion control in our lives without really overthinking the process by using scales and weighing food, such as all the Instagram influencers do, then this is something that we can work by. If we move on to our next slide. So now we spoke about the why, we spoke about the what, and now we are going to speak about the how to effectively implement dietary changes. So firstly, I just need to highlight some things that we really often see in practice, barriers to eating a healthy diet. So these are just 5 different aspects which I've just gathered, which basically I see in practice a lot, why people don't eat a healthy diet, the excuses that people come up with. And I obviously, as a dietitian, I'm not perfect. My family doesn't eat perfectly. Life happens to all of us. I might get emotional right now because I myself don't feel we are at a place at the moment where I am effectively nurturing and feeding my family. So it's not just for myself, but for my kids. And that's usually when you feel really a lot of pressure to prepare food before the lights go out, prepare food before the water gets cut, or so there's so many challenges in our society at the moment, which really makes it difficult to prepare healthy food. And some excuses are legit, but we need to find a way around it. So even with myself being a dietitian, I need to go back to the drawing board and see, okay, well, the food prices have increased, all food prices have increased. How am I still going to incorporate a variation in our diet when I really struggle to think that I need to pay 70 Rand for a tub of grapes? So how am I still going to get those nutrients in without going over my budget? Okay, so some of the excuses that we find, so the barriers that we find is food environment challenges. So chips, chocolates, and lollies continue to be cheaper than fruits. So when we can't pack in blueberries for our children to school, chips, lollies, biscuits, still cheaper. Health and well-being. My health condition makes it difficult for me to get motivation to prepare food. So sometimes people would say, well, I'm a diabetic. I'm unsure of what I can do, what I can eat. So I'll just continue eating whatever I eat and just take my medication. Social influences. So kids, they aren't always keen on salads. Well, that's something that we struggle with as well. My 2 little ones, they're not at the place where they eat salads, and I'm a dietitian, but it doesn't prevent me from preparing salad every single night, getting them together around the table and eat their food and see me eat salad every single night. So they get exposed to someone eating salad and someone influential in their life. So I am their mentor, I'm their mom, so they see me eating salad, and I do pray that somewhere along the line they are going to get the taste for salad. And then if you look at motivation and preferences, having the motivation to cook from scratch every single night. As I said, if we struggle with water and with load shedding and you don't have gas or whatever the case may be, it's easy to buy takeaways. Resource limitations, money to buy good and healthy ingredients, and the time to cook an evening meal. So as we said, all of those things are really challenging, and it's legit excuses, but it's something that we need to get through. We need to get through that. So moving on to our next slide, you'll see the big how. So if we look at how we will implement a healthier plan, or what plans will we make, we will look at a gradual transition, we will seek professional guidance, and also set realistic goals. So if we look at that, we'll see gradual transition. We'll look, rather than making abrupt changes, this is very important, start by introducing small modifications to your current diet. If you can only incorporate 1 fruit at the moment, let's try and make it 2. And then gradually work up to 5 fruits and vegetable portions per day. Gradually incorporate healthier choices and experiment with new recipes and flavors. This allows for sustainable transformation over time. So this is something that I also get caught up with, is that sometimes I feel my meal preparation or my ability to cook something is just not there. And then the other day I was just sweeping because I really like sweeping when I need some thinking time. And I was thinking, but what hinders? Where do people really learn to cook? It's from recipes. Why we've got access to so many recipes all around us. We can find recipes. We just need to pull a recipe, get the ingredients, and start learning how to cook a certain meal. And if you've got, let's say, you've got 5 different recipes that you can really start mastering over time, then you are good. It's good. It's a good change. It's something that you know your family is going to. If you experiment with something and you see, oh well, my children loves it, my husband loves it, we all enjoy this meal, then you start repeating it and until you really see that you're good at cooking. It's for some people it's challenging, but it shouldn't be that challenging. Okay, and then when we seek professional guidance, so consulting with a registered dietitian can provide personal guidance tailored to your needs and goals, and then we can help design a meal plan, address any nutrient deficiencies, and also offer support throughout your dietary transition. And if we look at setting realistic goals, we can start by setting achievable goals that align with your lifestyle, focusing on small, measurable steps which basically can enhance motivation and help you keep track of your progress effectively. And then very important, we need to celebrate each milestone along the way to maintain our momentum. And then if we look at, in summary, what is our take-home message? Because we looked at the why, the what, and the how. Obviously, it's difficult to elaborate on setting realistic goals, seek professional guidance, gradual transition. These are all steps in the process. This is just something that needs to be the start helping you to get momentum to start doing something. Where do you start? And you must know it's totally normal for you to seek guidance, to set realistic goals and to fail at goals, but to try. But if you don't have goals, you're not going to know where you're going. And obviously to be at ease with a gradual transition. So moving on to our take-home message. What we need to see is by acknowledging the impact our diet has on our overall well-being, we can take charge of our lives and make conscious choices about what we eat. Embrace a balanced and nutritious diet that can have a profound positive effect on both our physical and mental health, ultimately leading to a fulfilling and vibrant life. Remember, every change starts with a single step. So start nourishing your body today and unlock the potential for a healthier and happier you. So that's that from my side, Vomri. Please, I think there is some time for questions. We went a little bit over time, but if there's some time for questions, please, any nutrition-related questions will be welcome.
Thank you, Pietri. That was such an overload of information. And the one message that I am taking with me is, you know, that myth of I can't eat starch because that's the one thing that I have to cut if I want to lose weight and I want to live healthy. Pick out the starch. And that is such a myth. You just told us how important it is and how much benefits it has for us. So getting someone to really guide you and get that professional guidance, I think I have to make an appointment with you or a Tempo dietitian. I have a question here from a member. Is Greek yogurt better than double cream yogurt?
So firstly, if we start with a good thing about both Greek and double cream yogurt, if we take plain double cream yogurt, obviously plain Greek yogurt is plain, if I'm not mistaken, but because obviously there's so many things on the market, but Greek yogurt and double cream yogurt both should be plain. So if we start with plain yogurt, the advantage of both of them, you can basically add flavor to your Greek yogurt and to your plain yogurt. So you can flavor it without adding any sugar. So we know most yogurts, correct me if I'm wrong, but most yogurts, if you look at the labeling, you'll see that sucrose sugar, that is one of the main ingredients. And remember that obviously with both of these yogurts, because they are plain, we know nothing is added most often time. But if you look at something that is not Greek yogurt, usually any flavoring would, as I said, would push up the sugar content. Remember that if we take something such as fat-free yogurt, so both these yogurt might be a high fat or low or medium fat option, but if we take something such as fat-free yogurt, it's usually flavored as I said, because there's no fat content to bring the flavor, the full mouth flavor of the fat content is removed. They basically add flavor by adding some sugar. So that's something that you need to be aware of. So firstly, yes, if you choose either Greek yogurt or double cream yogurt, it would be good because it would be plain and nothing added. It leaves the opportunity to add something. Why I would choose Greek yogurt? Let's say this is also situation based, because if I feed my children, they need a lot of energy, so yes, double cream yogurt, I feed them double cream yogurt. If I can find double cream yogurt, yes, I will feed them that. If you're looking to manage your weight, you obviously need to a certain amount manage your calories, and wherever we can take in less calories but still feel full and satisfied, don't understand me wrong, that will be beneficial. So taking in Greek yogurt, it's lower in fat, that would be a good option. So yes, both plain, so low fat is also out. No, low fat is not out. Greek yogurt is good. I think Greek yogurt, you do get a medium fat Greek yogurt, so lower fat Greek yogurt would be beneficial. Obviously double cream, your portion size is going to be a lot smaller, because as soon as you start upping the portion size, you are going to up the calorie content. So I think you can easily, I'm talking under correction, get to about 700 kilojoules just by eating a portion of double cream yogurt. So yes, dates with a yogurt coating, most often time they are flavored with sugar. So the dates, remember the dates, they are dried, so they're already a concentrated form of sugar, fructose sugar, which isn't a bad sugar, but once again you need to take it in portion controlled. So adding the yogurt coating most often at time would have sugar in the coating.
Thank you, Pietri. That really does answer many questions that I've never even thought of. I want to remind all the participants today, if you have gone for your Bestmed Tempo health assessment, or if you haven't, next week at your Wellness Day, we will be doing health assessments, and then you will unlock your Tempo benefits. And part of that is a consultation, 2 consultations actually. First, the nutrition assessment with a Tempo dietitian, and then your specialized eating plan. So please go for your health assessments next week, make an appointment with Pietri or a different Tempo dietitian, and let's get healthy eating going. Thank you, Pietri. Really, that was such good information for me. I really enjoyed it, and I hope everyone learned something.
Great pleasure, Marie. Thank you for the opportunity.
Great. Have a great day, everyone. See you at our next Wellness Wednesday.
Thanks, Marie.